The meaning of guilt means intent to cause harm. You feel guilty because you're here, they're not. You feel guilty because you left. You feel guilty because you ate. You feel guilty you sleep. It just is like consumes you. And so by sleeping or eating or laughing or any of these, you don't intend to cause harm to your loved one.
I wanted to know, what was the moment that this pain for you as well could become part of your purpose? Has it made it easier in any way, or has it helped in any way? Have you been able to, help others so far, or has even the process to get certified, which I believe you did as a grief coach, has that helped you in this?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. But it's so true that grief, how the guilt is like a tricky monster that comes along, and the meaning of guilt means intent to cause harm. And so early on, the therapist that we saw, because we were all feeling guilty, we feel so guilty, and you feel guilty because you're here, they're not. You feel guilty because you left. You feel guilty because you ate. You feel guilty you sleep. It just is like consumes you. But he said that, and I looked it up. Meaning of guilt means intent to cause harm. And so by sleeping or eating or laughing or any of these, you don't intend to cause harm to your loved one. And so we let that rock go out of our backpack, and we try not to carry that around with us. And we call, as
Wow.
a family, we'll call each other out. Like, that sounds like guilt. Is that, what place is that? And, we dig into it, like what's the bigger, and that's another thing that we do as a family is we try to make our emotion when we are mad, we try to make it really big, because if you breathe and get really sad or really mad or whatever, and you get it and you get it out, and then on the other side it's like it's really peaceful. So how I personally made this step from here I am still fresh and still feeling my grief, and people have said, oh, I hope you can get over it, or I don't feel like you're over it or whatever, and I was like, I hope I never get over my grief, because
Yes.
somehow that grief is attached to that deep love. And I'm always going to love him. I'm always going to have grief, but we're just moving through with it. It's again duality. It's carrying, it's something that's around.
Tell me how your mom was all in. Tell me how she was someone that had just a massive heart for what she was up to in her life, whether that was parenting or something else or
My
more.
mom built a company. It's kind of an interesting company. When you walk through like a Costco and you've got people passing out food samples, right? She was the staffing agency behind about 1,000 of those, what are called demos, food demos, every single weekend. So she had sweet little blue-haired lady that worked, sweet little blue-haired ladies that worked for her all over the Northwest. And she loved these people. She loved these people and they loved her. And so she built an amazing 7-figure business in one of the most unassuming ways. And her people loved her because they knew that she loved them. And as a mom, she would sometimes, and this is, she would look at like me and my 2 siblings, there were 3 of us, and she'd pull us in and she'd say, and it wasn't always that she'd do this because this might be overkill to do that, but she said, if something were to happen to me tomorrow, where I was like, Mom, do you have something to tell us? She said, do my children know how much their mom loved them? And like she would like make us like look her in the eye, and she's like with teary eyed, like, it's like, Mom, do you have something you want to share with us? She's like, no, I'm healthy, I'm fine. But if of nothing more, do my children know how much I love them?
As you look ahead, what legacy do you hope Energized Health leaves, not just as a company, but as a movement that changes the way people think about life, aging, and possibility?
The legacy that we love to create every single day is know that we know and believe everyone can have their best marriage, their best business, their best health, their best joy, peace, and contentment. We believe that can be in every home, that's what God designed us to live a full, joyful life. And so even when challenges come, and there's going to be lots of challenges in life. Listen, we have lots of challenges in life, but it's different when you like have this armor of joy, peace, and contentment. It really does just bounce off you like water off a duck's back. It's like,
Yes, I
whatever.
think so.
It's just life.
Yes. Yes.
It's that principle of so what, now what? Like, so
Yeah.
what? I've got a lawsuit. So what? I've got tough clients. So what? We're having a down year. So what? COVID. Now what? No, we always get to choose our attitude and our actions. And that's what we want our legacy, that people live their most powerful, joyful, peaceful, content lives, regardless of all circumstance.
Fantastic. I love that. And I love that you mentioned, something that allows you, the words that came to me were resilience and reserve. If you had to name the non negotiables that allowed you to build the business you have today through branding, networking, and consistency, what habits or standards would you never compromise on that you, Livia, you have to do every day to make sure that those leads keep flowing in that you've learned?
I would say non-negotiable. It's something that changed my life, right? And that's like the book called One Thing, written by Gary Keller. When I was so
Yes.
overwhelmed trying to do everything in real estate, and I was selling about 30 homes a year, so not bad,
Yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
prospecting every day and I was doing everything in their mother, calling expired, door knocking, open houses. And that's when I realized, you know what, I'm just going to one thing. And that's what video was to me. So I was going to do one video every single day. And I did that for the first about 6 months or 8 months. Then I got about 200 inquiries in the first month when everything started rolling. So I would say number one, pick something that you love, you're passionate about, and you know you can do every day. Like if the world is ending, it doesn't matter. You will do that one thing no matter what. And then just stick
Yes.
to it. Consistency will, yeah, they it will pay off so much. And I'm amazed at what the videos are doing now. I can't even believe it. Now we're blessed with too big of a problem where we can't handle the clients and we can't qualify them fast enough. So that's what consistency for you.
I want to ask for women listening who want to rise into leadership, what is the one belief that they need to adopt and maybe the one excuse they need to let go of to truly step into their next level?
It's a great question. First thing that came to mind is I believe we're all dreamers and some of us daydream, right? Especially when we were little girls growing up, we had those dreams of like, I want to marry a prince and I want to live like Disney and all this stuff. But as we get older, those dreams alter. Whatever your dreams are, you can achieve it. Like the vision in your brain is not supposed to stay in you. Like it can come out, it can shine. And I love daydreaming because in my daydreams, anything's possible. And so I believe that I can mirror in reality. So I would challenge any woman who has a belief that they want to do X, Y, and Z, keep believing it and it'll happen. Right. I also believe that you are a product of your environment. So the first actionable step, because I believe we have dreams that we action, is spend time with people who also have big dreams too. Right. Because
Yeah.
energy human to human, no matter if we're get next to each other or no matter if we're across the country like you and I are, energy transfers,
Yeah.
right? So your dreams can come true. Like keep daydreaming and they will become reality.
I love it. I mean, just amazing. What was one of the biggest mindset shifts that you personally had to make in order to grow just to the level that you are at now? What did you have to in your mind or in yourself change?
Okay, so I feel like there's two types of people. There's people who don't struggle at all. No matter what level of success they have, they don't stress, they don't worry. Things just flow for them, whatever that looks like for them to have a comfortable life, right? And then there's people who stress, worry, try really hard, and are always struggling. Have you ever noticed that? So I
That is
looked
really
back.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I look back and I think, because my husband was one of those people who was like a worrier and anxiety. And I thought, I don't align with this at all. Like I look back and even when I was like out all the time and social and not really, I wasn't growth mindset at that point in my career, but I never had to worry about money. It kind of just flowed. I had the exact lifestyle that I needed at the time, and I was happy. right? So in order for me to build a business, because like we're at multiple six figures a month in revenue.
Yeah.
And in order to
Yeah.
get there, I had to physically see what was possible. So I took my already, open mindset and stress-free mindset and opened my mind even more to see, okay, like this is how people live. This is a potential income for people and this is how they live. I felt like I had to physically see it and then
Yes,
I could manifest it in a way, right? Does that
I
make
love
sense, or
that.
is that a little too woo-woo?
No, I mean, you know what? Honestly, I think it's amazing because, yeah, it's true that it's like sounds a little existential. But I think that, what we know is that, ontologically, our brain creates limiting factors. And if you can't imagine yourself winning that gold, it's going to be very hard to ever get above silver or bronze. So, for women listening who feel called to something bigger, but they don't know where to start, what would you tell them or where would you direct them?
I'd probably tell them the first thing to do is go to the people that are the closest to them, probably the top 6 to 10 people that are closest in their life, and ask them, what are the gifts and the talents do you see that I have? And probably start there. I mean, and ask them to just kind of really evaluate like what they think the gifts and talents would be, and even ask them, what do you think I would be really good at? Like, what do you think my natural giftings and talents would be? Because I think then it's not going to feel like one, it's not going to feel like a job. It's going to feel like you're a calling, like something that like this is so natural, it's God given, and I want to use that gift. And it could be in sales, and then narrow down from there, like, what do you like? Because if you don't like it, you're not going to succeed. You can be great, and everybody will say, okay, you're great in sales. But if you don't care about selling medical equipment, or you don't care about selling, I don't know, some widget on it, then it's not there. But if someone says that you're super creative and you have a creative mind, have you thought about working for doing some kind of production, or in bringing in products and importing products and putting your own marketing trade on it? Like, just, I think it's asking the people that are closest to you, I think would be the very first thing I would really discover, and just trust that has those people in your life, and they know you probably better than you know yourself. And maybe you're stuck and you need a think tank. You need a think tank of a bunch of people that you like, know, and trust, and ask them to give you the feedback of what they think you'd be good at. And I think you go from there.
I want to go ahead and look back for just a moment. When you look back at the very beginning of your career, what early experiences shaped your belief that success comes from systems, consistency, and follow up rather than talent alone?
It doesn't matter how great you are at sales. It doesn't matter how charismatic you are. It doesn't matter what you look like or what you sound like. At the end of the day, if you got bad habits, you're going to get bad results. And she really helped me to learn that and to get my habits in place. And I started to succeed beyond my wildest dreams shortly thereafter. And in about 4 years, I made her my wife, and now I work for her. So at the end of the day, that is a great example of, she could see something that I couldn't. And one of those things that she saw was the importance of habits. And I always like to tell people, habits dictate outcomes. End of story. Doesn't matter if we're talking about health, relationships, money, anything, business, regardless, whatever habits we're in, they're going to dictate where we are. And we are today a result of our habits over the last period of time. And so that for me is paramount. And everything else comes secondary to that. If we want something different in life, it's about changing a habit.
Was there a specific turning point where you decided you weren't just going to participate in life, but actually design it? Obviously, that moment when you decided I've got to go create more money for my life and for the people around me and for my family. But what about the moment you knew that you wanted to build something bigger? for yourself and for those people depending on you.
And I was cold calling, and I'm like, man, this doesn't really just feel like me. It doesn't feel authentic, right? And so I got on the camera and I got on YouTube, and that's where I felt like my career just changed, right? Because I was able to show up as my true authentic self. And a lot of the times, I get asked, what is your superpower, right? And I really didn't know that because I wasn't a good singer. I'm not the best dancer, right? I didn't have much of a talent. Like I couldn't play the piano. But what I do really well is number one, I help people, right? But number two,
Yeah.
I show up as my true authentic self. Like what you see is what you get. And I think that that was such a turning point in my career where it's like, I'm who I am. I'm going to show up on camera who I am. And whoever likes me, likes me. Whoever doesn't, there's other channels out there.
What habits or mindset disciplines helped you become the kind of woman who could be fully seen, fully accountable, and still keep expanding and be able to have that repetition if needed?
And I think what it is, the best way to say it is I finally feel safe enough within myself, within my life, within my faith to know that I'm not going to do anything wrong so long as I'm speaking my truth. And there isn't anything to fear. And me showing up in full transparency online impacts more people than me just one on one. And I'm recognizing that. And the more I dig in that treasure chest of mess that has created the woman that I am and put it on full display, the more opportunities are showing up. The more people are calling saying, all right, and it's almost like the arrival of this version of me to be reintroduced to the world. So it's not like I ever had that. It's that I'm creating that as I go. And just recognizing it's so important for us to show who we truly are so that people feel safe enough to show who they truly are.
I wanted to ask you in a business built on referrals and relationships, how do you protect your personal well being? And this will probably segue really well off of what you just discussed, while still showing up with that same level of care, responsiveness, and excellence for so many people.
I'm setting a table, and that table I'm going to eat from for the whole transaction and the whole relationship. That table is going to set expectations of what's to come. It's going to set expectations of how we operate. And it's going to be a reminder, a placeholder in the brain of the seller or buyer that you can go back to an itch and remind them. So when they're getting emotionally hijacked in a transaction, or they're wanting to go in a certain way that's not going to be good for them, you're going to remind them of what you said at the presentation. See, I think most people go into presentations to win the contract. I go into presentations to set expectations and standards. I don't go in to win the contract.
Yes.
I'm literally setting
Yes.
expectations and standards. I have a framework that I follow.
What would you want her to understand about authenticity in as a business advantage?
Yeah, just know that you don't have to be that person, right? I bombed my first 5 listing appointments, and that was like $1 million in commission. So just know, if you're faking it in the high heels and you can't really walk in them, and you're praying that people will ask you to take them off at the door, wear the boots and jeans. It's okay. Because my first one I landed was $12 million, and I was in my boots and jeans and in my Jeep. Right. And I felt like me. I felt like I was actually finally me. And I think he could tell. Right. We had a good rapport. He fell in love with me, fell in love with my marketing. I fell in love with his log cabin. I was just like, oh my gosh, I grew up in a log cabin, and thank God it wasn't this big. We had to peel all the logs, me and my sister, when we were little. So, so just telling him that story and being real and authentic with him, like it was so much better than the first 5 appointments I went in trying to be someone I wasn't. So just
Yeah.
know, just gotta be you. And it literally just takes some amazing products, a good strategy, and a good coach, and you can get there.
I love it. So good. And such great advice for the person out there who, again, is just not feeling like they belong. Each person has their own unique group that they can belong to, like your log cabin. Just the fact that you had that experience and you could see it through eyes that were so different than I think any agent who had walked into the room. So thank you so much for your time today. Please visit our website to find our episode guide and worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Please like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more incredible content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Manzi, signing off.